Pull a man's beard away from his chest, and the skin underneath looks almost bare. Now, run your hand over his forearm. The hair is still there. It's just short, fine, and easy to miss. Same primate, two very different kinds of coat. Humans didn't simply lose their hair follicles. Most of their visible body hair changed form. But that makes the beard harder to explain, not easier. If exposed skin helped a sweating body release heat, why can an adult man's face still grow such a dense patch of hair around the jaw? One possibility is that the beard remained partly because it was so visible, changing how people perceived a man's face before he even said a word. Stand in front of the bathroom mirror after a shower. Water still beads on your shoulders. From a few feet away, your arms and chest look almost hairless. Then the light catches your forearm, and suddenly thousands of tiny hairs appear. Meanwhile, your beard is dark enough to define your jaw, and coarse enough to leave a small pile in the sink after a trim. It's easy to tell the story like this. Humans kept hair on the face and lost it everywhere else. But that's not quite what happened. Human skin still contains hair follicles across most of the body. The difference is what those follicles produce. On the arms, back, and chest, much of the hair is short, fine, lightly pigmented, and hard to notice. Biologists often call this vellus hair. The scalp, underarms, and the adult male face, on the other hand, can produce thicker, darker terminal hair. The coat didn't simply disappear. Most of it just became much harder to see. Think of an old fur coat, whose fibers gradually became shorter, finer, and lighter. From across the room, it looks like it's gone. Up close, it's still there.
That distinction matters. Saying humans lost their hair skips the most interesting part. Different areas of the same body started following different growth patterns. Razors and grooming ads make a beard feel more like a style choice. Biologically, though, it begins after puberty, when facial follicles become highly responsive to androgens. But understanding how a beard grows still doesn't explain why this particular part of the body kept producing something that so clearly resembles fur. If most of the human coat changed form, why did the jaw keep growing something that still looks unmistakably like fur?
Picture an early human crossing open ground beneath a blazing midday sun. The body is working hard. Heat is building. Sweat spreads across the chest, back, arms, and legs. Thick fur would trap a layer of warm air close to the skin. Exposed skin gives watery sweat more room to evaporate, and evaporation carries heat away. Humans are exceptionally good at this. Much of our skin is covered with eccrine sweat glands, the kind that produce thin, watery sweat during heat and physical effort. Anthropologist Nanila Jablonski has argued that this cooling system was one of the key pressures shaping the human body.
As our visible body hair became finer, sweat could evaporate into open air more easily. For a moment, that seems to explain everything. Then look at the jaw. A beard does nothing to help the chest release heat. It appears after puberty, grows much more heavily in males, and occupies the one place other people constantly watch, the face. Cooling explains the disappearing body hair far better than it explains the beard. This is where Darwin's idea of sexual selection becomes useful. Some traits become important because they influence how other members of the species respond, not because they directly improve cooling, speed, or access to food. A beard may have changed the visible shape of the lower face. It could make a man look older, more mature, more masculine, or more intimidating. That doesn't mean those impressions were accurate. They don't have to be. A signal doesn't need to be true to influence behavior. It only needs to be noticed. Before a man ever explained who he was, his face had already given other people a quick first impression. That ancient shortcut hasn't disappeared. Change the amount of facial hair on the same face, and people may change their judgment before anything else about that person changes. The beard may have persisted partly because other humans paid attention to it. But if the signal changes what observers see, what does it actually reveal about the man?
A man who has worn a full beard for years walks into work clean-shaven. People pause. You look younger. I almost didn't recognize you. Your whole face changed. But his strength did not change overnight. Neither did his courage, patience, competence, or personality. A few millimeters of hair disappeared, and suddenly people began describing him as a different man.
Studies on facial perception can reproduce that same shift. Show people the exact same face, clean-shaven, with stubble, and with a full beard, and their judgments may change. Facial hair often makes a man seem older, more masculine, more mature, and more dominant.
Attractiveness is less straightforward. Some people prefer stubble, others prefer fuller beards, and the context matters. The important question is not which style wins. It is how quickly a face begins telling a story. Research by Barnaby Dixon and his colleagues has shown that facial hair can influence social judgments even when the person underneath is exactly the same. A dark beard frames the lower half of the face, hides some of its contours, and can make the jaw look wider or heavier. It works a little like putting a different frame around the same picture. Your attention shifts, even though the person inside has not changed. That inherited signal now shows up in dating profiles, ID photos, family gatherings, and job interviews. A man can shave on Sunday and be treated as younger or less intimidating on Monday.
But perceived strength is not the same as actual strength. A beard can't prove aggression, courage, competence, honesty, fertility, or character. It is also not a reliable blood test for current testosterone levels. Beard growth depends on genetics, age, development, and how sensitive the follicles are to hormones, not on one simple hormone reading. Humans inherited the signal, and then we invented razors, trimmers, and styles that allow us to edit it. A man can change his beard in minutes. The stranger supplies the personality. So when a familiar face suddenly looks like a different person, how much actually changed on the face? And how much changed inside the observer?
So why did the beard remain? Probably not because the human face needed a tiny fur coat, and probably not for one single reason. Across much of the body, the visible coat became finer, while exposed skin and heavy sweating helped the body release heat. Facial hair followed a different developmental path. It appeared after puberty, differed dramatically between the sexes, and grew on the very part of the body other people looked at most closely. The beard may have persisted in part because it changed the way a face looked before the man did anything at all. It could make him seem older, broader, more masculine, or more intimidating. But appearance is not character. A beard can change how strong someone seems without making him any stronger. It can suggest danger without proving it. It can lead a stranger to assume confidence, aggression, wisdom, or courage where none has actually been demonstrated. Then the man stands in front of the mirror and picks up a razor. In just a few minutes, he can remove, trim, or reshape an inherited signal. The hair changes. The observer finishes the story. One word: signal or proof?